guys, Algebra 2, video 23.1, radicals and I. So we're going to be breaking down some radicals. I know I made you one of the most, look at this, I spent so much time on this chart, work of art. Okay, so perfect squares, you know what they are. 1 times 1, 1. 2 times 2, 4, okay? A perfect square can be broken down into a factor times itself. So I just wrote down the first 12, okay? Here's 12 times 12, 11 times 11, 10 times 10. You know, you might want to generate these while we're playing around with these radicals. We're going to be simplifying radicals, basically, okay? And there's your perfect squares. All right, let me find you what we're doing, okay? We're going to start with problem uno here. Problem 1. All right, there it is, the square root of 75. So basically, that chart that I just showed you, you know, you're going to take 75 and we want to break it down into the biggest factor you saw on there. And because it ends in 5, you know, 25 would be a good place to start. So divide by 25, 75 is 25 times 3, or if you're thinking 3/4, okay? So we're just simplifying radicals without making decimals. After you find a perfect square factor, you're going to separate it. And then the square root of 25 is 5, and you're going to leave that alone. Okay? Your answer is 5 radical 3. Okay, cool. Is that ringing a bell? And here I'll bring that perfect square list one more time. All right. The largest perfect square I could pull out of there was at 25. Okay, ready to try another one? All right, example 2. It's here somewhere. Ooh, the square root of 500. I like those zeros. Makes me think of 100. So 100 times 5. All right, and then you separate it. And the square root of 100 is 10 times 10, so it's 10 radical 5. Okay, no decimals for this section. We're just breaking down, you did this in Algebra 1, but it might have been a while, so, you know, I don't know. All right, so speaking of Algebra 1, how are we going to make this Algebra 2? All right, well, we're going to tweak it just slightly. Look, this is the square root of -8. And the first thing that should pop in your mind is like a warning light. You can't take the square root of a negative number. Okay, so they got creative. They invented a number I, if you will, which is the square root of -1. And we're going to use this so that we can break down the square root of -8. But I got good news for you. The first thing you're going to do is just separate -1 times 8. You can do that every time. So if you have the square root of a negative number, go -1 times the opposite. All right, I'm going to put the 8 in front. All right, the square root of 8 in front. And I'm going to put the square root of -1 in the back. And come over here. The square root of -1 now is I. So now you have the square root of 8, and this is I. And the only thing you got to do is break down that 8. Well, the biggest perfect square that can go into 8 is 4. So this is 4 times 2. Keep the I. Separate it. And now you have 2 square root of 2 with the I separate. All right, and then the final answer, we just go 2I radical 2. Kind of weird, huh? So in English, you would just break down 8 like normal, and you would have got 2 radical 2, and then because it was a -8, you put that I there. All right, let's try another one. Oh, Lord, it's a fraction. Oh, wait. But the only thing different, this is a negative inside the square root, right? Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go to the square root of -1 times 9/25. I'll separate that, square root of -1, square root of 9/25. I know this is I. The square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 25 is 5. So this will be 3/5 I. Hopefully that's helping y'all out. All right, I do believe I have I have one more example. Yeah, one more example. What do you do if there's already a number outside? Okay, so what you're going to do is do nothing with that 7 for a good while. If this inside number, the radicand, is negative, go negative 1 times 32. Okay? So now you have 7 times the square root of negative 1 times the square root of 32. Actually, I'll tell you what, let's just change it to I right away there. All right, 32, even. Someone divide by 2. What, 16? Well, guess what? 16's on your list. Okay, 16 times 2 is 32. Leave the 7 alone, leave the I alone. This now becomes 4. Leave the square root of 2 alone. 7 times 4, 28 I square root of 2. Okay, this is radicals and an introduction to I. And just to put in your notes, yeah, don't look at this. I tried to make a perfect square chart over there and I blew it. I is going to be the square root of negative 1. Write this in there where you can find it. And then I to the second power is going to be negative 1. Okay? All right, next up is our review for this module. Hey, we're progressing along. We're getting there. It is good to see you. Talk to you soon.